There's something about the undead, they just won't die. And in this case, that's a good thing. Today GameRanks brings you 10 zombie games of 2016. Number 10, the Dead Island Definitive Collection. Deep Silver is bringing a remastered, polished version of Dead Island and Dead Island Riptide to the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. What's nice is it brings all the patches and DLC into one unified package that runs a lot better. 1080p at 30 FPS. I know, 60 would be nicer, but at least it's consistent now. The textures, lighting, and in-game models have been polished up as well. If you enjoyed Dead Island, or Dying Light for that matter, and don't have a way to play it right now, or just looking for a quick way to play it, Dead Island Definitive Collection is an easy choice. Number 9, Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2, which is not necessarily a scary game, but a fun competitive shooter. The original Garden Warfare was kind of a big surprise. I mean, it's a really goofy looking game that turns out to be really enjoyable. Garden Warfare 2 builds on all of that stuff and gives you a lot more modes for competitive co-op and solo play. For the uninitiated, it's somewhere between Call of Duty and a hero-based shooter like Overwatch, except for before Overwatch, and even has kind of a weird Nintendo quality to it that you don't normally see in games not made by Nintendo. It's a lot of fun and will keep you busy for a very long time. Number 8, Resident Evil 5 HD. The first Resident Evil to contain co-op gameplay and primarily well-lit environments that completely changes the environment from an urban out to Africa and changes up the story quite a bit as well. The game itself was subject of a few controversies, but the gameplay of it was so frenetic and enjoyable, it's definitely worth another go-around. While the first 3 are always going to be the classic Resident Evils, for me Resident Evil 5 is a great game. Number 7, The Walking Dead Michonne. Now there's pretty much no way to explain this other than it's a Walking Dead game from Telltale Games, featuring one of the most badass characters in the entire series, Michonne. It's a 3-episode game, so it's a little bit shorter than a typical Walking Dead game season, but it's really good. It details a series of events from when Michonne was temporarily separated from Rick Grimes and the other survivors, and maintains the quality of the episodic series prior to it. Number 6 is Killing Floor 2, which doesn't have the most original story of all time. A deadly outbreak from a biotechnology firm spreads across the population, and that's not good, obviously. But in terms of sheer style and gameplay, Killing Floor 2 is a great game. It's a really great wave-based first-person co-op or single-player game, and is just oozing with style. Number 5, Resident Evil 4, which was basically a huge revamp for the Resident Evil series that also took a bit of a drastic turn in story, dealing with cults, plagues, and parasites. The Ultimate HD edition was released for Microsoft Windows earlier in the year with improved graphics, as well as a few other tasty enhancements, and is going to see a console release in August. Number 4, The Walking Dead Season 3, which obviously there has been a lot of talk about and a lot of hype. People really like the Walking Dead series, and although the second season isn't quite as heightened as far as intensity compared to the first, it was still a great season. It also set us up for a huge third season, with Clementine no longer as a child, at least a helpless one, anyhow, and looks like it's going to be doing more with people that are a bit more hardened by the world. Something we just found out at Comic-Con is that they're finally doing some improvements to their engine and getting rid of that weird stutter that you see in every single Telltale game. I don't know if that's going to retroactively update other games. I hope so, it'd be nice. But the screens that we've seen from the new Walking Dead season definitely do show a marked improvement. Number 3, H1Z1 for the PS4, which has been killing it on the PC and PS4 players are really excited for. It takes the online zombie survival game and makes it more about team building and cooperation than about player versus player. Which, let's be honest, that's kind of more, I think, what things would be like if a zombie apocalypse actually happened. Obviously, there would be some aggressive people that do everything they can to sort of dominate the world, but I think most people would generally be pretty happy to see somebody that's not a zombie. It's had some mild problems on the PC version, and they're forking it into 2 separate games, one the massively multiplayer online version, and the other a player versus player. But it looks like the PS4 version, being it doesn't have a lot of different hardware to work with, is probably going to be a big step forward in a more consistent package. And considering the game, while not the best looking thing you've ever seen in your entire life, is a really fun game, that's great news. Number 2, Dying Light: The Following, which was a phenomenal update and was actually sort of an expansion, but I kind of regarded it as another game because the feel of it is very different. Where the original Dying Light is much more urban, The Following takes place in a much more rural area. The environments are far more open, and you get a dune buggy to play with, which is, by the way, a lot of fun. It kind of takes the concept, you know, a parkour zombie survival game, and kind of places it in a Mad Max Wasteland-esque environment where everything isn't necessarily right next to each other, but at the same time doesn't look like a Mad Max Wasteland type environment in that there's green everywhere, and does such a good job of building tension and then releasing it in the same way the original game did. It's also a big graphical improvement, and for whatever reason, the developer just kills it with wilderness settings. And finally, number 1 is Dead Rising 4, the indisputable happiest thing I think we got at E3, at least as far as zombies are concerned. We're finally getting what we asked for every Dead Rising game since the first. It's Frank West in a small town in Colorado dealing with zombies, mainly in a mall. And it does look like the humor has finally made a proper return to the firsts in a way that is not necessarily easy to quantify, in that the humor was very Japanese, while the game was intended to be very Western, but that bizarre weirdness seems to be back, and that's cause for celebration. A few bonus games for you, the first being Dead Island 2, the sequel to really something that, although it didn't really get a whole lot of credit because it had some issues in the beginning, turned out to be great. Overkill's The Walking Dead, which is going to be a first-person shooter. Umbrella Corps, which was not, it may not be the best thing that's ever been made, but I mean, as far as what it is, it's actually a pretty fun game. And the Resident Evil 0 HD remaster, which, by the way, that is a classic. To have it in high-resolution graphics is awesome. What's your favorite zombie game of 2016 so far, or that you're looking forward to? Let's meet in the comments and have a discussion about that. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button, and if you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every single day of the week. The best way to see them first is a subscription. As always, we thank you so much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me at Falcon the Hero on Twitter, and we'll see you next time right here on GameRanks.